Good morning, New Eden. Today is April 16th. Sorry, I am like
somebody wishes it was October already.
Yeah, it's already October. No, today is April 16th, 2023, and this is the Federation Frontline Report. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout. My co-hosts are Samson and Night Flyer.
Good morning, New Eden.
Hey, good morning, New Eden. It's been an up and down week, big losses and big wins. How has your week been, Frozen?
It's been pretty good. Definitely gotten a lot of good kills. Got a lot of good little fights out there in the universe. Wednesday night, we got to test out our Cloaky Fleet, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Cloaky Feet. Yes. I can't.
Give me a second. I need to turn on the light.
Today.
Oh yes.
Yeah, no worries.
And that is Gh0sty, who we're going to be interviewing today of the Fliet Pizza Delivery. And that is part of the alliance of Essence and also member of the Gallente Militia.
Battletoads represent.
Yeah. How's space been treating you, Gh0sty, out there?
I mean, about as well as Eve treats anybody.
Oh, yeah, well, there is that.
Well, some days it takes, some days it gives.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of good fun stuff going on in the universe, and we went out earlier today with you, had a little bit of fun before coming on to the show here, messing around with some Cloaky ships as well. But tell me, how did you first learn of EVE Online, and how did you get into it, and what did you do when you were first here?
Well, I've been playing since the Blackout era, so about 4 years. But before that, I have known about EVE for like over a decade. It was videos by Rooks and Kings that always had me intrigued, specifically the video called Anatomy of a Fight. 10 years ago, I didn't know what anything they were saying. I didn't know what a hick was. What's a point? What are smart bombs? All this crap that they're talking. All I understood is that they had to work together to achieve a goal that was very difficult to achieve. They were always fighting outnumbered, and that was, to me, that was always what wanted me or got me to want to play EVE. But it wasn't until a few years ago that I finally took the plunge, and I've quit a couple of times over the last 4 years. I'm not gonna lie. I was on like almost a year-long hiatus before coming back for the new expansion and starting streaming. I got all mad that safety blew up my Mackinac, and I was like, I'm not doing this no more.
Sorry. I'll reserve my laughs for later.
I hate high sec. High sec is the worst space in all of EVE.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't agree. The high sec, even, I don't know. I've come to a point in EVE where all I want to do is undock and blow stuff up. And I want to be able to do that in groups or solo, or I just want to mess around. And then I want to do some of that side stuff of I want to move my modules, get do fittings and stuff like that, and get
everything to support the habit.
So yeah, some support the habit type, industrial type kind of things. I got recently into building industrial ships after 15 years of playing the game. I didn't ever touch the industry tab, and then blueprints became really cheap for the LP store, and it was this is the way. Build your own ships and then move your modules in by yourself. So I find that economic system to be really intriguing in EVE. But living in high sec is, you're just not experiencing the game.
Well, for me, it was anxiety inducing because, when I started EVE, within a month, I was out of null in the middle of the blackout. So I never, if I saw anybody in local, I knew I was in danger. But then you go to move back to high sec when there's 50 people in local, and those signals are just you're in danger, you're in danger, you're in danger.
And you probably are.
Yeah, as the death of 2 Mackinacs would prove. It's the damn local list is 90 people long, so when that one dude from safety comes in, you don't see it in time.
Yep. That's I've had many ratting ships blown up in my lifetime in this game, and that's something that I felt like doing mission running, doing salvaging, doing ratting or mining was always going to be something that I only did this because I didn't because I need money in order to do something else in Eve. And so HiSec is also, yeah, when you're saying that it's anxiety inducing, I had the same exact like thing when I left Null and I came back and did anything in HiSec, because I first kind of moved into low-sec, or HiSec, of course, for a little while, then low-sec, and then we moved out to 0.0 and did a bunch of crazy stuff. And you come back to HiSec and you're like, where? Like, there's all these people here? Like, who are these?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're going to try and murder me.
It's not supposed to be people in space, only targets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I much prefer low, null, and wormhole spaced as opposed to high. I think wormholes are probably my favorite, but I haven't had the opportunity to delve much into them. I'm really enjoying Pokvin. I'm looking forward to when the Shadow War spills over into Pokvin.
Oh, that'd be interesting. How much that goes over?
Have you heard much about that yet?
No.
Okay, so right now we're all grinding for the technologies, just the research for the technologies. Caldaria, of course, already have their catapults, so all they need is a stellar transmuter. Amar and Mimitar, all they need is the catapult. And Gallente, we need both because CCP hates us. And they make the catapult probably the hardest one for us to get because you have the option to go to the low-sec ones, but I don't know if anybody's taken the time to do this, but it can be really difficult to even just find the sites in low-sec, let alone run them. And then we're not even allowed in the high-sec. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next part because once the research is done and the empires are building the stuff, they have to go to Pokvin to get the materials. And if you remember the Winter Nexus event where the mining sites had a gate that only allowed mining ships, same concept, but the gate allows anything in.
Oh, interesting.
And there are going to be rogue drones inside to fight off. So it's going to be like a PvE style that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I unfortunately have not done a lot with this new Shadow War. I find it interesting, but it's not the activities that I can do stuff that I want to do. I wish I was more into the hacking of this game, but I never got into it. Just wasn't profitable enough of an experience to do.
I just didn't care for the minigame.
The minigame is also a little weird. It's not the greatest fun activity that I've experienced.
Anything that takes too much of my attention off the local or the D-scan, I don't like.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? This is dangerous, like, as fuck to do. Like, it's...
I'll be glad once we have our or I keep calling it a catapult. It's what, a shipcaster?
Shipcaster, yeah.
God, we desperately need
Shipcaster,
that on Gallente.
See, I'm not actually even interested in the shipcaster, to be honest. The reason being,
depending on where they put it,
they're gonna put it in Intaki.
So is that where you think?
I'm 95% sure that it'll be Intaki. But
I mean, that'll be fine as long as it can hit. And right now, my issue is we basically have three fronts. You've got Fliet, Hades, you've got Onatoa, and then you've got Abanel and all those adjoining regions. And it's really hard to travel between them, especially with forces like Snuffed Out dropping marshals on you on a gate if you're flying anything larger than a cruiser. So we could really use that shipcaster, but I worry that we're going to be the last ones to get it.
Yeah, it's very likely. At all. Yeah.
If we get it. Well, I mean, eventually we're going to get it.
I mean, it's possible that they don't give it to us. I wonder how much, if they will penalize the Gallente moving forward, because this is a really very likely kind of event stuff that not only is the Gallente undermanned especially in these regards, the militia just doesn't give a fuck. Like, there is no push by the general militia to get everybody on the same page and doing this to do, like, nobody's talking about the shipcaster in any fleet that I go into. Because it just, I mean, they might be speculating on it, but they're not like, let's do stuff to get this shipcaster together.
Yeah, no, it's
And-
all
and-
completely individual work going on right now. So
And I think CCP needs to kind of address it just a tiny bit because, like, the first 2 weeks, everybody was going really hard on it, and now you just got like a handful of folks that are farming the blueprints and making all the money, printing ISK, so to speak.
Mhm.
And it can't drag out, I feel.
Oh, I
I
think
really
you're breaking up.
Yeah, we got a little
Okay.
bit of technical difficulties.
There. Oh, you're coming
You're
back
back.
now. Yep, you're back
Yeah.
fully now.
A little bit of lag. You got to forgive me. We were hit by a tornado a week or 2 weeks ago. The fact that I have working
Oh.
internet at all is amazing.
Wow,
Yeah.
man.
Crazy.
Thank God you survived.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I could show you pictures from about 3 blocks that direction.
Oh no.
That's how close it came.
Oh man, that's crazy.
But anyway, I digress.
So I believe
what was I
Night Flyer,
saying?
you had a question.
yeah, just for Gh0sty being one of the new up and coming Eve streamers, is this the first game you've streamed, or have you done other streaming before this?
The first time I've tried any sort of content creation.
How are you
Well, it's
liking
definitely
it?
a need though. It goes. Frozen and I have talked about this a lot. We're kind of in this flux right now, where a lot of old streamers or people that have been streaming for a long time just aren't doing it anymore. Either the life's changed or the game's changed, where their mechanics aren't there anymore.
Well, I mean,
So,
just to
kind of
use them
need the content.
to use one person as an example, Torval was, he's recently kind of taken a hiatus, and I kind of understand his point. His deal was he ran Abyssals to make his money and saved up for the Proving Grounds, and we haven't had a Proving Grounds in 3 months, and there's not looking like there's going to be a Proving Grounds anytime soon. And he's like, you've completely eliminated my whole playstyle. That was the thing I found enjoyment in, and now I can't do it anymore. So every time CCP tries to improve one area of the game, they're letting other areas of the game slack to a point where people are just getting pissed off and leaving. And I sympathize for them. I really wish they weren't devoting company assets to devote some blockchain game when they're having struggles with this game, but, that's neither here nor there.
I do have to say that the amount of people playing in the Proving Grounds was astronomically minimal. Like that, the problem with there are people that they drove away, but it's a lot of them were probably who did play in it are still going to play Eve, and there are some extreme, but that's unbelievable because it's like I want to say that it doesn't even get into like the thousands of people that play in the
Yeah, you always see the same names in that top 100.
Yeah.
But I think that was more that they kept forcing folks to take really big ships. Like, who can afford to welt battleship after battleship after battleship into these things, even though they, like, supposedly you got like 200 million if you did so much damage back, but that doesn't cover the cost of the battleship. What I enjoyed was when they did like the free-for-all corvettes or the T1 destroyers or T1 frigates. I did those all the time.
I did that as well, actually. That I actually do like the arena setup that they had, but it does look like they've taken it out. And I'm not sure if it was just there was not enough interest in it, and the amount of manpower and resources that went into it doesn't justify.
I mean, we're losing seasonal events too. It's not just the.
That is a big one that I think is really fucked up. That they got rid of 2 seasonal events so far for the epic arc that they're kind of doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I sympathize. CCP is not the largest company. They've only got so many man hours to devote to the game. And I really do enjoy some of the stuff they are putting in. The faction warfare expansion so far, I would call it a success. The Shadow War itself is getting a little stale, but then again, I'm jaded because I'm Battletoad and they hate us always. For everybody else, they seem to be having a grand old time. Null seems fine for the moment. I haven't heard too many complaints that haven't been ringing in our ears for years and years and years. Like I said, I want them to not forget that people really enjoyed the seasonal events, these one-off events like the Proving Grounds. Those were things that kept some people here. Don't throw those people under the bus just because somebody gives you $40 million for a blockchain game.
Right. No, Go ahead.
Sorry, the whole point with that, with the frigate or those events, was so that someone comes off work, they've got like a half hour, they just want to get in and fight. And it was supposed to, that's what the whole point of that was supposed to be. Those proving grounds is that I can get in, I can fight automatic, like right away. And if I lose, I lose. And that I can go about my day. So it's kind of that quick fix of the game where I'm not hunting, jumping through 10 different systems in null before I can find a battle. Like here it is, it's in my face right now. And again, I thought it was good content. I like watching Torvald and some of the other guys kind of take part in it, even though it wasn't a really gameplay I ever got into. But I think that's the point of this game, is that you've got to have all these different avenues for everybody's different kind of play style. So again, I hope they do bring it back.
It's hard to call it a sandbox where you can do everything if you start eliminating things that people can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Very true.
Yeah, no, so somebody was saying though that there was some new filaments on the battleground filaments on the holodeck a few weeks ago.
I've heard that too. So maybe we're getting one soon, but
yeah. So maybe it's just fewer and far between or there was a lack of just something came up. Maybe the code got broken.
What was the frequency before? Was it like once a month or once every couple of weeks or something like that?
About once a month.
It seemed often, comparatively. Like
it's definitely been
I feel like they were gone at this point because I haven't seen one in a while.
Sansa, I believe you had a question as well.
Yeah. So in the same vein, with streaming here, how do you deal with stream snipers?
I embrace them.
You embrace them? Okay.
Stream snipers are viewers too. That the only exception was Snuffed. There for about a week straight, they were just parking Arazus and whatnot on every damn gate, waiting for me to come through. But I got pissy about it. They got a blingy paw, and I was like, fuck stuff. I was crying about it for a couple of days, but then I decided to just adapt, and now I'm seeding ships throughout the war zone. I'm avoiding gate travel when I don't need to do it. If I do need to gate travel, take stuff that's fast. I don't know. They're playing the game. You're allowed to be the bad guy. You're allowed to go hate you. And they haven't crossed the line of harassment. They got close. Giannis got really freaking close with the hateless rip, or the hateless vigils and whatnot, and what he was doing with those. But beyond then, I really haven't seen much of him, so I've cooled down a lot.
Yeah, we're not friends and happy with the stream sniping that is possibly happening. But that, like you said, that's a resource that they can use if they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and also you can use your stream to bait them. But continuing with that question, though, I do want to see what are some ways that you embrace stream snipers.
Well, it's content. Sometimes you're just sitting there in a Plex for 2 hours straight. Nobody's taking the fight. I'm like, guys, I'm here. Come to this system. Here's what I'm flying. Just kill me, please, so we have an explosion on screen.
Shoot at me.
Kind of like Judge Sorn kind of mentality is like, come fight me. This is why I'm streaming. And also, my stream is taken from the perspective of someone who's really bad at PvP, and I'm trying to get better. So if I'm hiding, if I'm not showing where I'm at, I can't get that backseat teaching from my chat and from a lot of the people that come and stream snipe me. They stick around and now they fleet up with me and teach me how to play the game. Perseus, for example, Perseus Finch, if you know who he is. Oh, he's a fantastic guy. If he's ever in your comms, he's the guy that does the speech to text. Always sounds like Alexa. But I mean, he is a bloodthirsty pirate, but we hang out because I don't get butthurt about it. I sit there and it's like, hey, come fight me. Here's what I'm flying. Give me a good fight. And it works out. I find that most people, they come get their pound of flesh. As long as you're not being a crybaby about it, they'll be done, and then they'll join the fleet and kill the next person that tries to kill you.
So do you normally operate inside of plexes for your streaming?
For low sec, yes.
Do you have multiple characters that you're using for stream to do different aspects of it, or how are you handling being in faction warfare and being a streamer?
When I'm in faction warfare, I'm just solo. My other character is out of just an NPC corp. I only ever use that character when we do the Pokfin mining fleets. But when I am in the faction warfare, battlefields are my bread and butter. I love the battlefields. great content generators. I do have one beef with them. I wish defensive battlefields would pay
Worth.
at least as much as like a small.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I really think that they because there's no difference because there's no advantage to the battlefield if it's in a defensive battlefield.
Yeah,
whereas
an
there is
uncontested defensive
technically-
system. There's no point for you to go there if you're
Right.
going there for LP.
Yeah, I mean, it is, still sometimes there's like, hey, there's a big bunch of Keldari that we can go screw with now.
Yeah, if you want to go fight, then sure. But
So
if you're
it
trying to
creates
make
that,
if you're trying to push objectives, if you're trying to generate LP to make money, defensive battlefields are probably some of the worst things you could try to do. And I think CCP needs to give it a bigger carrot, because the idea, as I understand it, is battlefields are supposed to be this content generator. They're not supposed to be ISK fountains. They're supposed to be fight generators. And if you don't give somebody a reason to go fight the battlefield, aka money, why are they going to risk their ship?
Yeah.
And I think defensive plexing overall is really undervalued, because it feels like you don't even make LP until it's like 70% in the opposing force's favor, and you're like,
And then
now we have to defend it.
And then it's kind of too easy of LP to make, because you don't need to kill the rat. I personally, my thing that I kind of are going to continue to rail on until they get it with the new system, they don't need defensive and offensive flexing, I don't think, anymore. I think that just in general, there can be plexes that have two rats inside of them that are shooting each other, that can never kill each other because their tank is way better than their DPS. Current
Give them
kind of
tackle.
setup that we have. I debate back and forth on tackle. Tackle makes it way more dangerous to do
Yeah.
plexing. Like the level of danger just skyrockets for doing plexing then. Because it's you've got a rat that's going to be holding you down while somebody brings a really big ship in to kill you.
Frozen.
Yep.
Real quick, do you want to do intros for everybody? We have lots of new viewers, and not everybody knows who everybody is.
Oh yes, and we
yes,
don't.
just do a
I don't
quick
have like
re-
a.
We know. We have Gh0sty on the title, but
Right.
some people are new to the show.
Gh0sty on the top right hand corner here. Streamer, badass, machiner, killer. Out there working for the Battletoads.
Whelper of great many ships.
Out there with battleships today, just kind of messing around. You just love that kind of enthusiasm for going out with fun stuff, and being out there. I'm Frozen Fallout. I am leader of the Federation Frontline for the Gallente Militia, and host of the Federation Frontline report here. Down below me is Nightflyer, who is part of the network. Below me, yes.
Below,
the bottom left-hand corner of the screen is Nightflyer. So great co-host here, and has done a lot of stuff with the network, and has partied with me in the real world, which I haven't done that with the next person I'm going to talk about, Samson, who I met, about 2 years and a half, maybe?
Yeah, it's around there now, 2 years or so.
Yeah, so how did I meet you? What was the
you posted a
Facebook.
A Facebook. You posted like some kind of Eve. You posted about your podcast. You said you wanted to interview regular Eve players.
Yes.
On your show, The Age of Stories, I believe, and I responded to it on Facebook. And then after that, you turned me into a murder. You turned Gwenevit Kenyon into a murder machine by teaching her certain things, and she ran with it. So now here we are.
And now we're a bunch of privateers. That's what we do.
Yes.
We do not shoot blues, but if you're neutral,
If
and you're coming into Yvain, we're going to deal with us.
Parlay.
To
You're
be
going to be shot.
parlay with us. I
mean, I find I will say
that too.
I will say though that I usually shoot first and ask questions later because your loot is usually. I usually make more money quicker that way because I just take your loot and then whatever's left over. But yeah.
But yeah, that's so yeah, we're talking about, this is a faction warfare podcast, so we're talking about faction warfare. What are some of the things that you would like to see changed in faction warfare? And how long have you been playing faction warfare at this point?
Only since this new expansion. This is brand new experience learning the new faction warfare. I before any time I came out in Gh0sty, it was always as a third party. I like the way they've redone the plexes. It makes a lot of sense. I do wish they would add a scout advanced for T2 assault frigates. Only T2 assault frigates and stuff like that. Because right now, if you want to do an assault frigate or a pirate frigate, you have to go into a small and fight desis.
Which is what assault frigs are for, though. Just saying.
Yeah, but it kind of everybody seems to have their own tier slot except for the tier 2 ships. They keep having to go the next one up, and they can't.
Yeah,
fight
they
their own
purposely
weight
got
class.
rid of those, and all of my vengeances and retributions and worms are now collecting dust.
Yeah,
so I feel that.
When was the last time you saw a worm? I haven't seen one in months.
Oh no. Yeah, they're not around because I mean, even if you could find somebody to go fight, as soon as they see the worm, like they know, I'm in an advanced. I have to have major situational awareness now.
I think a hook bill could take a worm.
Yeah, if they don't know what they're doing, sure. Sorry.
I don't know. I've seen the DPS in some of these new frigates. Like they put the worm in its place. The worm's all its damage is in its drones. Just kill its drones.
Yeah, good luck with that. They're tough.
But
they have like 300% or something stupid.
But yeah, I mean, I like the Plex system. I don't like the LP payouts for defensive battlefields and plexes, but I understand they're trying to control the ISK fountain.
Rats get scrams, you were saying?
Yeah.
So how do you like? What's your main thought process on why you would want to have? Because I've gone through this a few times, and I'm just interested from your point of view. What's so much better about having the rats be able to scram?
Well, folks who are just sitting there in an unfit Atron in a defensive plex, not even trying to fight.
But wouldn't you kind of get rid of that for the most part? I think that has come down a lot. Like that used to be a huge thing for defensive plexing because it was so boring, and you did it behind enemy lines a lot of the time. Like there was a lot of deflexing that needed to be done way all over the place in the war zone, and now it's actually like calmed down to a few dangerous spots. There's less of that. But also, if it was just everything was an offensive plex too, I think would be a little bit more forgiving than
especially
scram.
Where you can't just be a blaster boat sitting on the button. You actually got to move off, kill an NPC, come back, and when you're off the button is when you're vulnerable.
Right. And there's a lot of interesting stuff.
It does feel a little too safe to be in the plex, regardless if it's offensive or defensive. Like I said, there needs to be some sort of like you're locking yourself in for X amount of time. That is the danger. Similar to how like the new Shadow War sites, those rats will scram, web, newt, paint, all sorts of crap on you. You're stuck in there once you've made that commitment, but you still have the high ground. So you get to choose how the fight comes at you.
So they can't have stabbers inside of, because Billy was saying in chat here that just fit a stab onto an unfit Atron. You can't have a stab. And so that I think is...
Is that really true? I've never even tried.
Pretty sure you can't have that. That was something that was a big issue. Then
you can't bring a stab into
into a plex, but you can do a venture into a plex now,
which has automatic.
But now only in the advances,
Yeah, it's not a T1 frigate.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't know, there's some interesting. Actually, is it going to the scout?
Now I have
wonder
another
if
beef.
it
Now
goes-
I have another beef. Why
go
will
ahead.
CCP allow me to take a mining ship into an advanced, but I can't take a logistics cruiser into one of the state laboratories?
Oh,
Like
for the
that,
event.
yeah, for the event. It clearly says all T1 and Navy battle cruisers, all T2 and pirate and T1 cruisers. And as far as I know, logistics cruisers are T2 cruisers, but they are the only things not allowed to go.
I heard
other
about
kind,
this on Reddit. Yeah, they're like, what?
it might have been my
T2?
post. I'm like, why? And if it's because logistic cruisers are just too strong, that's fine. Put that in the text. Say T2
Yeah, it
cruisers
should tell
except
you.
Logi.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not that hard to document that you're not allowing these things in. That or else somebody messed up. So can you fix the mess up?
Yeah.
Somebody messed up here. Just
I was a
fix
little
it.
salty when I spent like 30 minutes building a scimitar on my alt so it could go into the Caldari High Sec, only to find out I couldn't get into the site. Like, how dare you waste my valuable time?
So you brought up, you have some alts. You said the ones in the NPC, and they.
Yeah,
Do you dual box with them, or do you do anything else?
Not often. System resources. When I'm streaming, I need more RAM. This computer does not like having two clients and OBS running at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
But that character literally only can do logistics or mining boosts. So that's usually they're sitting in a porpoise or an orca.
Yeah,
So,
same.
yeah, when we do, so the way my stream is set up, so Monday and Tuesday I'm usually in the war zone. Wednesday I'm in Pogvin taking folks out to mine that kind of rock. We may actually up that to 2 days a week. I'm not sure when. Definitely when the Shadow War spills out into Pogvin, we're probably going to be spending a lot of time out there. And then Fridays I just try to go find somebody to hit a yeet button with.
I don't know. Pogvin's too scary. I don't know if I can
I get that, but come out there, man. It's fun because I say it's the best of J-Space and Nullsec.
Oh,
because
I see. That's a good description.
So no null, or I'm sorry, no local. You don't have to deal with caps, but you still have a gate network for travel.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
and a pretty easy
You're
way
right,
to
that
get
is.
into it.
Yeah, easy to get in, easy to get out.
And you don't need to
And-
live. So, would you encourage living there, or do you believe that it's a place of visit?
Living there is hard because you can't set a death clone, you can't jump clone in and out. You can use a clone bay to switch pods, but that's about it. I would say it's a good place to just day trip, unless you're going to join as a corporation, like go full Triglavian, join them. I don't know. The people who live there are hardy folks. I'm going to say that. You don't want to mess with them. One dude in particular, you'll always see him flying the EOS fleets. EOSs and Nestors, they run the flashpoints. We've come to an understanding with our we see each other, we'll wave and pass each other because we're both just trying to make our money.
You cut out a little bit there.
Yeah, we lost that last sentence.
Let's say it. We've had our fights. Now we just let ourselves, bygones be bygones. When someone shoots the other, then it's on. But that's it. He doesn't mess with our mining fleets or our trig standing fleets. Speaking of which, if you guys are in the Gallente Militia and need to improve your trig standings, come out with us to Pogvin. You shoot one rat and you're done.
Yeah, that's. I lost a worm to the Triglavian like 2 years
where is
ago
that?
or something like that, or a year ago maybe. That
We've got a couple of Triglavian
Yes,
systems in the war zone that seem to catch people off guard.
not the one over by Nenemelia. It's just one jump away from Nenemelia and Pine
Hero HIRR something, Hirokin or something like that.
Hikokin.
Hikokin, yeah.
Yes, Hikokin, yes. Yeah, so I got caught in that system. There's a couple more around as well, but that's a big bottleneck for going up north, or like to the northwest of the map. And that is something that I was like, okay, how the fuck do I get good with these guys? Like, it's because I heard about you could be good with these guys, but I didn't know they could catch a worm. And so when I learned about it, I was like, the first thing I did was like get everybody in Fleet that
Yeah, we
was in
took Fleet out.
corporation was like, okay, everybody just get good with the Triglavian. All you need to do is shoot once. And then there was only like one or two people. I think there was only like one person that was like, yeah, I have a lot of bad negatives with the.
Oh yeah, if you're in the red with the trigs, you may be out there a while. But if you're at 0-0, go out to trig space one day, find an incipient drone swarm, shoot a couple of the NPCs, you're done.
Yep. Yeah, you do it in a destroyer. If you kill one,
Yeah,
that's
mhm.
great, but
Cheap.
it'll probably get killed by somebody else. So, or the NPCs that are there. So, it's pretty easy to.
And then it's actually a pretty good ISK maker too, if you can grind, because you build positive Edencom and Triglavian doing these sites in Pokven. So like Chaos, if you guys know him, 1298, what he'll do is he'll get both of his standings up really high, and then he comes back into normal space and runs the site. Like he'll first trash his Edencom standings, do running those sites, get his Trig standings all the way up, then do the reverse, because every site you clear is like 100 million. So he's doing that back and forth, trading standings for ISK, and then he goes back to Pokven to generate both. And that's how he makes his money.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's fun to watch streaming. I know he's trying to come to Iceland. First he was dead set into it, and now, he was in the beat. They brought him up in the EVE community beat.
Yeah, him and Urschlag, CCP definitely notices them. Gives them shout outs and whatnot. But Chaos, he's trying to raise like $5,000-6,000 to afford to go to Iceland. I think he's on track for it.
Yeah, is he Australia or is he New Zealand? I don't.
Australia.
Okay.
So Floorstaria does bring up something that I find interesting as a streamer, and I kind of want to get your input on this though too. Is that so they say that I would like to see in actual battles all the trailers show big faction navy fleets forming up and attacking, etc. But there's no content like that. So my thing on it real quick.
Yeah, it's a lot of small.
It's a lot of small stuff, but there are fleet fights that are happening between players. I personally think that if you want, as a streamer, I would actually like to have cool background battles that are happening between NPCs that are, like something for me to be able to watch beyond there isn't enough action.
The timer
just there's not enough like action inside of faction warfare, I feel, when it comes to streaming sometimes. It's like if you're like mission running and stuff, you've got like constant fire coming in, ships blowing up, you have like actions that you need to do. Faction warfare is very much kind of like sit, wait, and it's not as beautiful as it could be of a game, I feel like. And it's the only thing is that there's this missing the massive amount of action that can be happening in the background that doesn't actually need to like influence what's going on in the
something like a battle being played out on the skybox or something.
To a certain degree, yeah. I'd still make it the NPCs just shooting each other, but you have like 1,000
Well, I mean, you got
kilometers
the
off,
battlefields.
So the battlefields are interesting. I thought that they were going to be much more of like that kind of cinematic thing that we're kind of talking about here. And it kind of didn't happen because we decided to game the system instead.
Yeah,
and that's
CCP,
intended.
and it would be so easy to fix. Just change the range on the battle cruiser to be within 30 kilometers so that it contests the points. Dude, like I noticed that
They said
within
it's
the first
working
week.
as intended.
Yeah, it's working as intended. Because I was truly worried that it would be considered an exploit, and I refused to do the tactic there for the first 2 or 3 weeks. And then CCP came out. I was like, no, this is how it's supposed to work. That's perfectly fine. And I'm like, so I'm allowed to shoot my friendly militia NPC because I'm gaming a system, and they're never going to care.
Yeah, no,
how's
that is like sometimes EVE is really all about the mechanics of something instead of the story that's going on for the actions that you're taking inside of the game. You're much more likely to look at how to game the system rather than the idea that, let's just do what we were told, murder these things, and protect our allies. I think that that's a big interesting kind of like aspect of Eve that has always kind of been in all of the everything that they released. They were like, I didn't know you would do that. That's ridiculous. Like, but Eve has been really good at being
isn't
like, that's fine.
Wasn't the battlefield the way it's set up just a copy paste from another site that used to be out in Pakvin? Or maybe it was another place.
There is something similar to it, but there's nothing that has capture points like this that I know of. Maybe there is in Pochvin though, because I'm not very familiar with Pochvin.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with. I remember someone saying that it was basically just a repeat of an old mechanic they already had. Maybe it was from the original war with the Triglavians, now that I think about it. How did those sites work out when we were trying to protect our systems from falling into Pakvin?
I didn't participate in it.
That was before my time.
I was in Goon Swarm at that time doing all the good fighting out in Goon Space and couldn't go to high.
Oh, you were a Goon?
Yep.
I was out on
I should have been a
current
Goon.
range, but-
Well, they had a party.
Rare boss. So you would have different spawn points. So it was almost like a wormhole would open up, and then the Triglavians would come in, or even come, depending on what side you were in, you would fight that. So you'd clear that, and then another one would pop up somewhere else, and you'd fleet around.
Oh, I remember those wormholes. I warped to one on accident once and got blowed the fuck up. So what? I didn't know there was a bunch of NPCs ready to kill me there.
Yeah, I think I've been playing about 6 months when that came out, and didn't realize like people were actually using comms. Like there was a way to like talk to each other that wasn't like Slack or something. So I, only had in-game chat to type on.
Anybody else have
boss?
Nightflyer Samson? You got a different question you would like to ask?
Sure. I think I may have heard something about this earlier, but what? Actually, what has been your favorite PvP experience in Eve? Whether it's an individual instance or an activity.
My favorite singular incident?
Yeah, if you can't, if there's nothing comes to mind, just what you really like to do the most.
Or multiple if you have like 3.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm very eclectic with my gameplay. I can't do the same thing day in, day out. I have to do it. But my favorite activities right now would be doing battlefields and faction warfare, robbing banks in Null, and mining in Pakvin.
Didn't you just recently have an event that you pulled for going out into 0.0 to do some bait heisting? Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that went?
Do I tell you how bad we failed? Yeah, that was probably the biggest fleet I've ever tried to run, and about 20 billion ISK was lost.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, so what it was is that for my 1,000-follower stream, we were going to do Super Sweaty Boy ESS robbing. I got 4 of the 45-minute reserve keys. Those things were in like 2 billion each. And we were going to filament, and there's only 4 regions in the whole game with banks big enough: Delve, Quarius, Fountain, and TKE. So it was either Goons or Horde we were going to end up stealing from. But the only reliable way I had to move the battleships was just hit the filament button and pray, and the gods were not kind to us. We landed in NPC Curse, of all places, and got dread dropped.
Oh, was it? So did you? When you landed in Curse, what was the thing that you did? Did you like start going out and?
We were trying to figure out where. First, we docked because there's NPC stations, and we were trying to. We had a 15-minute timer before. The plan was just to hit the eat button again and see if we could get closer to Delve. But when we docked up, there were locals that saw this big tasty fleet docked in one of their NPC stations, and every time we tried to undock, they would aggress with just 1 or 2 people, giving them fresh 15-minute timers. So we were kind of stuck there. In hindsight, we had access to an NPC clone bay. I probably should have just docked the fleet and everybody set a jump clone there, and we come back later. But in my inexperience, I tried to get us away from the group, and their interdictor managed to catch the stabber that was carrying the keys.
Oh no!
and we were forced to go back to try to save him. We failed. 2 of the keys died with his wreck, but I was able to loot the other 2 off of him. We docked back up. We tried to get off grid again. We were like, okay, well, we're going to fight them on the station, kill all the little stuff, and then just fly somewhere and safe up. By that time, they already had 3 dreads and a Thanatos waiting.
And you guys were mostly like battleships, right?
Yeah, it was Leshaks, Scorpions, and assorted Marauders and support craft.
Did you get any good kills out of the fight, though? Did you?
We killed a Dami and their Sinolighter, and that was it. Like I said, 3 dreads just ripped us to shreds.
Oh yeah, 3 dreads will. It is interesting.
It was a hard L.
Throwing money at Eve doesn't always work, but sometimes it works really well.
Well, it's always pay to lose, though. It is always pay to lose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like Istwise is like if you throw a dread at something, but you have to know that they're not going to double drop on you, because you're risking it quite a bit just to do.
Actually, I think I have the kill report in my clipboard. I can put it in your in-game chat.
Yeah.
Twitch chat. I think that's the kill report or the battle report. If you want to see just how bad we lost.
Yeah, that was.
But it occurred to me halfway through that whole endeavor that maybe we could have chose a better travel method. So in the future, I'm going to look into things like proximity filaments.
You were also streaming this as well, right?
Well, me and one other individual were streaming. I had OPSEC running. Like my screen was like completely blacked out and comms muted, but they weren't on his.
Oh.
And so we were still leaking information like I don't know. I don't want to call anybody out or nothing. It was nobody's fault. I was the one making the calls. And there was definitely a way to not lose a single ship. We could have just docked up and death cloned home. But yeah, a lot of mistakes were made, but a lot of lessons learned. It will not be the last time we make that attempt. I'll have to save up some money because, like I said, those keys were not cheap. I got to research better methods to getting to target regions and better tactics for getting out of sticky situations like an interdictor following us. And as you can see, my little clinger is wanting attention again.
Hi.
How you?
Say hi,
great.
How you?
We're doing great.
All right. Did anybody else have a question for me? Have I answered them all?
I think we can go ahead and wrap it on up here. And
yeah, she's been patient for a very long while.
Yeah,
she's been great. She did a great job letting Dad play.
That's a victory laugh, is what that is.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things on up here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. If you have any interest in joining up with the war effort, go ahead and put an application into Golden Age Stories. And if you want to watch us live, we are on Twitch every 2200 hours Eve time. That's about 5 p.m. Central Time. And if you missed the show live, you can always watch the recording on our podcast, The Federation Frontline Report, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much any other podcasting platform that's out there. Definitely check out our website, the federationfrontline.com, for more information about our alliance, our podcast, and EVE Online. If you have news that you want us to talk about, definitely hit me up in-game, Frozen Fallout, and we'll go over getting you on the show or talking about whatever news that you've got out there, battle reports and the like. So thank you all, and have a great night.
What about the little event that's happening next?
Oh yes,
month?
We are doing a big event next month called EVE Online Madtown Meetup. We're going to be going to the Great Dane for lunch, and then we're going to head over to IO for the rest of the night. So about 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. we're going to be hitting up for some lunch at the Great Dane, and then 5 p.m. to midnight we will be hanging out at the IO Arcade Bar in Madison, Wisconsin. I've posted about it, and you can check it out on Our Discord
Yeah.
will have more information. Our website will also have more
That's right.
information about that as well.
It's also the flyer right there. I just
And it's
posted it on Reddit.
May 13th, 2023. So come check that out for sure.
And if people need lodging, they can sleep on your floor. Is that what
Yeah.
you were?
Yeah.
That's
Technically, I think we could
We'll
accommodate.
put some tents outside.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Good night, y'all. Thank you for having me on.
Good night,
Good
New
night,
Eden.
everybody.